Hello everyone, it's Mike Levin and I introduce myself as SEO, and in this video I'm going to explain what that is and why and where I'm going with all this coding work that I'm doing. I'm out walking the big guy. This is Monday morning, beginning of November. We're back from Disney World, where we had a week-long wonderful vacation for Addie's 4th birthday. We were there also for last year for her 3rd birthday, and it's a really great opportunity to compare her differences in growth year over year. She has grown by leaps and bounds. She's a much more developed person than she was this time last year. She went down Splash Mountain twice. She is enamored with Star Wars and superheroes. She likes to review what her superpowers are, like bravery. And so it's back to work. And SEO, the way I introduce myself, it stands for Search Engine Optimizer. It's the practice of getting things found when people search. You optimize the search process on behalf usually of clients, sometimes for your own stuff, so that when people ask certain questions of Google or plug in certain keywords, the pages, websites, or even mobile apps that you want get listed in the search results. And it's an alternative to paid advertising. And the way Google works, it's much like any other media channel which offers something of value to its audience, its users, for free. Like if you're talking about television, the TV programs are the free parts, and then the commercials are the parts that pay for the TV programs. Subscription models change that a little bit, like cable, where there's fewer commercials, but you don't pay to use Google. Google is more of the old school media model. And so what pays for all the search results? Ads. And Google has a variety of products for advertising that they try and sell you. Probably the most dominant one and the original is AdWords, which are the little text ads that run at the top and to the right of search results on desktop and at the top of search results on mobile. And my field is about not needing to succumb or to yield to the necessity of paying to get listed when people search. It is often seen as a more genuine, perhaps a more relevant way to become found, because you are the thing that Google is referring people to by virtue of existing, by virtue of being what should be shown as an answer to your question or in response to those particular keywords. At first, everyone around the world got the same search results when they plugged in the same things, but now localization is customizing it. That means it changes it based on where you are, and a whole bunch of other systems sort of spring in and intersperse themselves with the underlying default search results. What people sometimes think of as the top 10, because particularly on desktop you get, 10 things back on that first page of results before you have to start hitting next, 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 and start paging. Google hasn't gone to infinite scroll. There's a lot of really old school things about Google that they have been very resistant to letting go of because of expectations. They grew themselves into a, $50 billion a year revenue company by what they're doing. And because it's media and people can go anywhere they want for media, they're not locked into using Google in particular. It's a really delicate game to keep your users and not drive them away. So Google, to increase revenue, will and profit, will run more and more ads in their search results, but they can't go really so far as to turn people away going, oh, Google is nothing but ads, or else everyone would flock somewhere else for search, like Bing or Yahoo. And so that's what's called a Nash Equilibrium. Media can't go completely to ads or commercials because people would stop tuning in. And that's what ensures the field of search engine optimization a future. And ultimately, that's why I'm still in the business. But the fundamental shift and changes that have occurred is that Google is getting better at identifying what should be shown as a result of questions or keywords. They're getting better at zeroing in on those sites that meritoriously deserve those free listings. And that angers a lot of people who have sort of scammed their way into the search results. And much of my industry is that shadowy portion where people use tricks. And instead of trying to be meritoriously best in their category, they try and just pull tricks out of their bag of tricks to get into the results in sort of a short-term way and to sort of bank their earnings and move on. There's a lot of disposable websites in this scenario. There is a lot of questionable products being sold, very few long-term reputations being established. But this mode of working has sort of swam upstream in companies such that there are fairly formal companies whose business it is to get listed in search results. They're content companies. And they're trying, in a sense, to be meritoriously best, but they're usually trying to offload content production to their users, creating some sort of game dynamics, recruit a bunch of editors to do all their writing for them in exchange for notoriety, but then the company itself gets to run ads over their content, makes the revenue, and maybe gives back a tiny little cut to the actual users who contributed the content. I mean, even YouTube that I'm using right now is really that kind of scenario. And in the case of Google, it's often a fair scenario because they're the ones who are gathering the audience for you. They control everything. You have very little choice in the case of things like YouTube, but to go to YouTube. But all these other content companies, you know, you can take them or leave them because they have little more advantage than any other content company. And it's often better to just produce your own content, publish it yourself through some channel. Often it's making your own website. And there's what I'm trying to do, which is get the best of both worlds. I'm making my own website. I'm making websites on behalf of clients, or actually optimizing, helping clients optimize their websites. So I'm building a bit of my own audience. I'm getting paid for helping other people build their audience. And then I'm just using Google for what it's worth, which is, produce content, give it to Google, give it to YouTube in these videos, let their system for crawling websites crawl my site, try and get up at the top of the listings for a bunch of keywords. If you search on things like advantages of Python, or Python advantages, or benefits of Python, or Python benefits, you'll generally find my website at the top of those listings because I'm trying to kind of creep in at the edges on some topics that are frequently searched, that I plan on becoming the real go-to person, the person who meritoriously deserves to be sent that traffic. And then I'll sort of expand out to other keywords, other topics, other questions, and be able to demonstrate my effectiveness in this field. I am, in other words, walking the walk so that when I talk the talk to the clients, they believe what I'm saying because I can demonstrate doing it on my own behalf. And that gets us full circle to the Pipulate free and open source SEO software in GitHub, where I am packaging the best of my tools for the world for free so they can do exactly the same as I'm doing, using the same tools as I'm using. And then my sort of following of people, my audience, my tribe, such as it were, in Seth Godin terms, will be those who I'm teaching how to use the tools to their greatest effect. And that's where I'm going with this whole Pipulate project, which will dovetail or combine together with the Levinix project, which lets you sort of get started with my tools without doing any of the fancy server configuration stuff that I'm always doing with Raspberry Pis and other real hardware. So it's basically having a server sort of sitting on your desktop, so there's not even any installation of software other than dragging something over and double clicking it and going. And once you learn to use my tools that way, you can maybe upgrade yourself to running it natively on your own desktop computer or laptop, or natively on a Raspberry Pi and plugging it into the back of your Wi-Fi router at home and having a 24/7 dedicated server so you can run scheduled applications without being beholden to any of these companies who do very similar things to what my tools are doing, but charge you a lot of money to do it. So I plan on having one of the first credible competitors to the high-end SEO software that people pay hundreds of dollars a month to use, and you'll be able to get it completely for free at GitHub under Mick Levin on a project called Pipulate. And if you're interested in that, you just keep following these videos. I'll start walking you through the process step by step. I'm getting really close to it being usable on a daily basis. One of my audience, I believe his name is Chris Smith, asked me when I'm going to do more than Hello World and Spam and Eggs, and the answer is it's coming up real soon now. I'll put some of these custom functions in, like position tracking, checking how many times a URL has been tweeted or liked in Facebook or +1'd in Google+, and being able to schedule that so you can do a little bit of trending, all either through Google Spreadsheets for a really easy user interface, or alternatively through CSV files, which can be saved from Excel and loaded back into Excel and basically uploaded and downloaded from a Pipulate server. So that's where we're going with this, and if that interests you, stay tuned to the Mick Levin channel on YouTube. It's really fun doing these morning videos. I'm going to try and do them fairly consistently, and thanks for joining me. Hope to see you again soon, and don't forget to subscribe.